Hi everyone, welcome to Humanities 2172 online. This is like the 9th time I've done this video because this and that keeps screwing up. I'm out in my kids' playroom. That's why the giraffes. I hope you are well. Also today, as you know, I have posted the test. And so you have to choose one of those questions, write a 2-page double-spaced essay, get it back to me on Tuesday before midnight Wednesday, okay? I'll put that under an assignment so that you can submit it via Canvas. You may use your books, you may use your class notes, you may use these talks that we're having electronically. Please do not use Google. Please do not use Spark Notes or whatever it is. The definitions that you'll find for romantic hero on Google are probably going to be subtly different. And then, of course, there's also the likelihood that you choose a little passage to use that somebody else also uses in their paper, but that we didn't talk about in class. And then it's just going to look suspicious. So please do the reading. Please watch the videos. Please base your answers on what we talk about in class. Okay, let's finish this book. Frankenstein. We're chapter 19 to the end. If we were in class together, there's a number of things we would have talked about that we haven't talked about here because they're discussion-y questions. The first, of course, is this question: if human beings can do something, should they do something? Mary Shelley's writing at a time when it would have been impossible to conceive of something like what Victor does. But in the 21st century, we have cloned sheep, we have cloned other animals, and probably somewhere right now there is a laboratory where they're working on cloning human beings. You can already go to the fertility clinic and you can choose this fertilized egg over that fertilized egg because it has blue eyes or it's a boy or it's whatever. Instead of, green eyes, that's a girl. You can already do that. And so we're already kind of bioethically in this tricky area. And before your lifespan is up, I'm sure there will be such a thing as cloned people. This book is already sort of bringing that question up. What is the creature? Is the creature a human being or not a human being? Is the creature somehow less than a human being because of his origin? The way that she does that from today's reading is real straightforward. This happens all the time in literature, but you got a main character, Victor, then you've got sort of a parallel character, and now it's the creature. The creature wants a companion, and he has charged Victor with making him a companion. He says on page 122, "You are my creator, but I am your master. You have to do this. If you don't do this, I'm going to kill everybody you love." So he is lonely and wants a companion. Victor, at the same time, is set to marry his adopted sister, Elizabeth, right? Which is strange to us, but maybe back then it wasn't so strange, his cousin. But he's dreading it, right? So we've got the creature actually having more genuine human emotion about finding a companion than Victor even has. By now, I think you've probably already been asking that question: who is the real monster? Is the creature responsible for all this murder and mayhem? Is Victor responsible for it? And over we see Victor shirking his responsibility, and we'll have to see at the end of the book if we think that he comes around at all. But let's jump in. Pretty quickly, Victor decides he's not going to do this. I can't make another creature. The first one has been a nightmare. I'm not going to make another creature. So that means that he destroys the work that he's already done, sinks it to the bottom of the lake. The creature says, "Fine, I will be with you on your wedding night." And so now we're setting up for kind of the climax of the book, if the book has a plot climax. Immediately, the creature kills Clerval. Victor gets sort of accused of that, has to spend some months in jail. Still doesn't tell anybody about the creature. But then when he gets out, he marries Elizabeth. And of course, if the creature told any of us, "I will be with you on your wedding night," all of us would say, well, I have to then either not get married or I have to protect the person that I'm marrying because that's what he wants to do, is do harm to that person. Victor not capable of thinking about anyone but himself. Page 141. Great God, if for one instant I had thought what might be the hellish intention of my fiendish adversary, I would rather have banished myself forever from my native country and wandered a friendless outcast over the earth than to have consented to this miserable marriage. But the truth is, he's just not thinking, and the truth is, he may not be capable of thinking about other people. And 144, 145, their wedding night, she's in the room, he's walking the halls, he's got a knife and a pistol or whatever, but he leaves her unprotected. The creature kills her, and then 145, while I still hung over her in the agony of despair, I happened to look up. The shutters had been thrown back, and with a sensation of horror not to be described, I saw the open window a figure the most hideous and abhorred. So it's another one of these horror movie shots of the creature standing at the window in the moonlight after he's just killed Elizabeth. And then it's kind of like there's a little bit of a break. Victor, it's too much. So Alphonse, the father, actually dies, and Victor owns up to the police finally on 147, 148. He says, this is why all these people are dying, because I made this creature and I couldn't control it, and he's killed everybody that I love. And of course, now the cops are like, well, not much we can do about that. Right? Good luck. Good luck to you, sir. And so 149 is the setup to the end of the book. He's in the cemetery. Of course he is, because it's a Gothic novel. Bottom of 149. As night approached, I found myself at the entrance of the cemetery where William, Elizabeth, and my father reposed. I entered it and approached the tomb which marked their graves. And that's where on page 150 he vows revenge. So now we get the setup, which is going to be that for the rest of their lives, Victor and the creature are going to be locked in this revenge with each other, set out to destroy each other and chase each other all over the world. Now you will remember at the very beginning of the book that Robert Walton's traveling to the North Pole, and he looks out and he sees the giant figure of the creature, and then he sees Victor Frankenstein, whose dogs have died, and he's getting in the boat. So now we've kind of like, Victor's told his whole story, and we've come back to the beginning of the book. And in fact, we end the book with letters from Walton, the same way we began the book. And so now I want to talk about two things. That is the end for Victor and the end for the creature. You could make a case from this and that Victor has learned something from all of the trouble his romantic quest has caused, from being the romantic hero. Page 156, he says, when I was younger, I believed myself destined to some great enterprise. My feelings are profound, but I possessed a coolness of judgment that fitted me for illustrious achievements. So you remember that the romantic hero is perceives that they have this gift to give the world. They're this genius. Nobody else can do what they can do, and so they can break the rules if they need to. And we get this from Victor over and over and over. When the crew of Robert Walton wants to turn around, they don't want to go on with this journey because they're stuck in the ice and they just want to go home to their families, Victor gives this speech, 159. What do you mean? What do you demand of your captain? Are you then so easily turned from your design? Did you not call this a glorious expedition? And wherefore was it glorious? Not because the way was smooth and placid as a southern sea, but because it was full of dangers and terror, because at every new incident your fortitude was to be called forth, and your courage exhibited, because danger and death surrounded it, and these you were to brave and overcome. For this it was a glorious and honorable undertaking. Turn the page to 160. He says, be men or be more than men. And that's the romantic hero. I'm more than just a regular person. I'm a special person. Since I'm special, I'm steady to my purpose, firm as a rock. The ice is not made of such stuff as your hearts may be. So even at the end of his arc as a romantic hero, he is encouraging Walton's men not to step down, but to go forth, to risk their lives, to risk ever seeing their families again for this glorious thing. So whether or not Victor has learned anything from his journey, that is debatable. Probably not. But it's debatable because in his very last moments, right, he seems to suggest that even though I have failed and I made some mistakes, and this is like 162, 160, top paragraph, third paragraph, maybe Walton should go on. So that's how Victor's story ends, with him basically saying to Walton, you should still do this, right? It's still worth it. You should still try. He hasn't learned anything. And it's worth saying that Victor's sacrifices have been other people, right? I mean, he suffered in as much as other people have died, but these other people have died, including his father, his fiance, his best friend, his young brother, Justine, the servant. So there is a lot to suggest that Victor is not really able to process what this has cost other people. And he's gone. Let's move on to 163. The creature finds him. The creature kills him. This is also my victim, he says. In his murder, my crimes are consummated. The miserable series of my being is wound to its close. Frankenstein, generous and self-devoted being. There it is. What does it avail that I now ask thee to pardon me? I, who irretrievably destroyed thee by destroying all thou lovest. Alas, he is cold. He cannot answer. And then at the bottom of 163, we get Shelley's final argument for the humanity of the creature. He says, all these people died, but do you dream that I was dead to agony and remorse? He suffered not in the consummation of the deed, not the 10,000th portion of the anguish that was mine during the lingering detail of its execution. So we get here a little bit of the creature saying the same thing Victor did. Oh, this has been so hard on me, right? I have really suffered through this, and now we're back to that kind of parallel. Is the creature a romantic hero? What? Is the creature able to see his arc and to see clearly the horror and all of the pain that he has caused? He says on 164, this first full paragraph, you should read it. He ends with saying, evil thence became my good. So he's been reading his Paradise Lost. Urged thus far, I had no choice but to adopt my nature to an element which I had willingly chosen. The completion of my demoniacal design became an insatiable passion, and now it is ended. There is my last victim. So he's not sort of like dedicated himself to destroying humanity. He had just dedicated himself to making his creator pay. You see the obvious echoes here of Paradise Lost. You should read 164, 165, but I'm going to go ahead and pop to the end. Middle of 165, he says, why do you not hate Felix? He's saying this to Robert Walton, who drove his friend from the door with contumely. Why do you not execrate the rustic who sought to destroy the Savior of his child? Nay, these are virtuous and immaculate beings. I, the miserable and the abandoned, am an abortion to be spurned at and kicked and trampled on. Even now my blood boils at the recollection of this injustice. So the point is, just because I'm different, I was kicked out of the DeLacy's home. Just because I'm different, I found no place to exist in society. Just because I'm different, people treated me terrible, even when I did things like save their daughter from drowning. So the creature here is making a case for his own sort of like terrible deeds because no one ever accepted him. And he maybe has a point. How often and how quickly do we distance ourselves and demonize the other because we are uncomfortable making peace with how much difference there is between us and people who are different from us. Okay. Finally, he says on 166, I shall die and I shall, what I feel will no longer be felt. These burning miseries will be extinct. My spirit will sleep in peace. If it thinks, it will not surely think thus. Farewell, right? So the creature is finding his own peace here at the end. I have less than a minute. Takeaway from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that she has asked big questions about what a human being is. She's also challenged our assumptions of what human beings can do scientifically, but she's also made this portrait of the romantic hero, Victor Frankenstein. And it's up to you to decide, is this some sort of a celebration of that, or is this a critique of that? That's one of the questions you can ask on the test. The second question you can answer on the test is, how does the Gothic allow her to tell this particular story? Good luck on the test. I'll see you Tuesday. I'll be back with some words on Hemingway and modernism. Thanks. Have a good weekend.